We have taken up the question today of what happens when coaches test positive for COVID, especially during the season. So our draft team's best situated if the head coach misses time during the regular season with COVID-19. Trivia question that I've just kind of pulled out of the air, Chris. Let's see if you know the answer to this. Who's the last NFL head coach who suffered a broken leg in a sideline collision?
Oh, gosh. Wait. Damn. I mean, I know this. I mean, I'm going to choke. And, I mean, of course, have no – man. Ooh, I want to say it was like here in New York, too, or something. But I can't remember. Who was it, Mike? Tell me.
Sean Payton. Sean Payton.
Oh, man. And where did he do that? What was it, down in Tampa?
It was in Tampa. It was in Tampa, yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, you better watch out when you're on the sideline.
He didn't miss any games, but he coached from the booth, I think. There have been coaches who have missed games, and we may see coaches miss games this year. Regardless of whether or not they're symptomatic, that's the thing. If you're positive with the virus, you're not going to be there until the virus clears your system, even if you have no symptoms. All right, first pick for me, and there are a lot of teams that I think would be not necessarily okay, but they'd be able to weather the storm.
Right.
I'm going to start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because for all practical purposes, the head coach is in uniform this year. He's Tom Brady. And Bruce Arians, who has delegated plenty of authority and responsibility to his coordinators. Byron Leftwich would run the offense. Todd Bowles runs the defense. Tom Brady runs the team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be fine if Bruce Arians is unavailable for a couple of weeks with COVID-19.
So you're just saying they're going to let Brady run the game situations? Like, hey, he's going to yell over.
I'm being sarcastic.
He's going to yell over to Leftwich and Bowles and be like, hey, we're going for it here. But,
yes,
Tom, it's 4th and 24. I don't care. No, I know what you mean. I know. I'm just having fun with you. Okay. I understand that, and it certainly does help to have a veteran quarterback like a Brady to soothe that over. But I'm kind of shocked by that first pick. I think there's a lot better options out there. I mean,
well, go ahead and make your pick.
Starting with your squad. You're going to just not think of your squad? What are you, too good for your team? How dare you? The Minnesota Vikings, I don't know. Anybody else know a Super Bowl, winning head coach who's an assistant on any of these teams? I can't think of one off the top of my head, so I'm going with them.
I'll take the 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback over the 1-time Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator.
Okay, yeah, apparently, yes. Okay, so you are picking Tom Brady to coach the team. So that's your pick, and I don't like it then. It's stupid, all right? Now, Minnesota, yes, I'd feel okay if Zimmer was gone. And now you got Gary Kubiak running the show. I mean, he's been around Mike Shanahan. Of course, he's played. He coached the Texans, won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, knows how to do it a lot of different ways. That, to me, was the obvious pick, or for me, it was the obvious pick.
It's on my list, but I just wouldn't call it the obvious pick because I think that Bruce Arians has already set it up where he's just kind of an overseer anyway. And I don't mean to take anything away from Bruce Arians here, but he puts so much faith in his guys, and he's got a quarterback unlike any quarterback he's ever had, except for maybe Peyton Manning, but that was a long time ago. But you have an accomplished guy who's going to come in and provide the accountability, the leadership, the example that's set, the ability to speak to the young players and get them to do what needs to be done. I think Bruce Arians arguably has the easiest job of any head coach this year, making him the easiest coach to replace if there is a COVID-19 situation. And Arians, one of the coaches we hope doesn't end up testing positive because he's got the comorbidities and he's close to 70 years old. So, for a lot of these guys are going to be completely asymptomatic, but I don't want to see the dice get rolled with someone like Bruce Arians. All right, next one for me. This one is less about the credentials of the offensive coordinator and more about the inexperience of the head coach. If Joe Judge is unavailable for the New York Giants, Jason Garrett takes over. Now, who knows that the results are going to be all that great, but
I think you're right.
It's an unproven commodity in Joe Judge, and Jason Garrett just steps right in. The guy's been a head coach for the last decade. He just steps right in and takes the team over until Joe Judge comes back. It'd be a seamless transition.
That's a pick that made sense. I like that one better. Okay, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, you're right. I mean, first off, Jason Garrett. Yeah, we're talking about if your head coach, gets sick, who's going to be the team that's best set up to be able to handle it. Jason Garrett, first off, been a head coach, been to the playoffs a bunch of times, and nobody No, but I mean, he doesn't panic. He's so calm, and I think that would be the type of guy you'd want to take over. We're like, oh man, our head coach is gone. What's going to happen? He would soothe people over in that organization very, very quickly. All right, well, I'm going to Kansas City next. I am, because I look at Kansas City and go, damn, they got 3 head coaches on their staff behind Andy Reid. In my opinion, first off, hey, you're right, the team's good already. We know that. They got a great quarterback to your Tampa thing. So you got Patrick Mahomes. That gives you a great,
So you like my pick now.
Well, I like quarterbacks that are under 30. But either way, okay. So, but then you add into Eric Bieniemy, Steve Spagnuolo, who has been a head coach in the NFL and, of course, a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator, and then Dave Taub, who's been in the conversation for being a head coach for a long, long time as one of the better special teams coaches in the sport. So I just look at that and go, oh, you got a good team there. You got 3 guys who certainly can handle their workload, and I don't know who gets appointed to be the head guy or the guy that makes the big decisions, but I think it's 3 guys who understand the game and where the organization's going, and they know how to handle their business, and that seems to be a pretty good situation to me.
Yeah, and I think you've touched on something that's important here. Quality of player makes it easier to go forward without the coach. The better the team, the more the team can self-coach itself, as you would say.
Sure.
That's why I'm going to go to Baltimore. When you consider the quality of the roster, best team in the NFL last year in the regular season, 14-2. You've got Greg Roman, who can run the offense. You've got Don Martindale, who can run the defense. If John Harbaugh tests positive and isn't available, the Ravens will and this is where it gets awkward, because John Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the NFL. He was coach of the year last year. But if he's not available, this ship is going to run itself, Chris.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't doubt that. The value of a guy like John Harbaugh is, it's his during the week preparation. Ooh, I like this matchup. Ooh, I don't like that matchup. I don't think we should do that. He's got a great feel on the sidelines for when to go for it, when to punt, feeling the vibe of the team.
Lamar Jackson does.
Lamar Jackson
does.
But either way, I give him a lot of credit. He listens to the player there in that instance and goes, you know what? I feel him there. He's right. I could see that his energy is in the right place. Whatever. He's got a great feel for the game that way, and that is hard to replace. But that team is damn good, and you got Wink Martindale and Greg Roman there too, who we know can coach some football too, and certainly they're not going to crash and burn. Man, this is where there's a lot of good ones, and this is where I'm not sure what. All right, I think I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go out to Denver Broncos. I am. I'm gonna go there because first off, you got a guy, Vic Fangio, long time overdue, should have been a head coach, but great defensive mind. You got Pat Shurmur there as an offensive coordinator who's been a head coach. And then to add on to that, you got Mike Munchak as the offensive line coach who's also been a head coach. So I just think when I look at those 3 things, again, obviously I've gone with the support system and the coaching staff more than anything here. But when you have 2 former ex-head coaches and, a Mike Munchak who's been around for as long as he's been and understands what it takes to build game-winning game plans and everything like that, I just think they're in a good spot to where they'll figure it out and have the right leadership, and the egos aren't too big to where I think like Shurmur or Munchak will be like, no, I'm coaching the team. You coach the team. I'm coaching the team. So that's one that jumps out.
I also had the Falcons on the list because you've got former head coach in Dirk Cutter as offensive coordinator, former head coach Raheem Morrison, defensive coordinator, veteran quarterback in Matt Ryan, talent on the roster, and I don't see a big drop-off if Dan Quinn isn't available. Who else did you have that didn't make the cut?
Yeah, I had the Chargers because of Gus Bradley and him being the ex-Jags coach, defensive coordinator there. That made sense to me. The Jaguars with Doug Marrone. Yeah, well, hey, Jay Gruden's there. He's only a year out of being a head coach too, so that's not bad. And he's worked with some of those guys on that staff before as well. So, that was one that jumped out. And then at the Bills, Sean McDermott, Leslie Frazier being up there, Brian Daboll, who's a guy who's going to be in the head coach conversation, I expect, after this year. Those are the ones that jumped out to me, Mike.
I was intrigued by the Patriots, but I didn't know what to do, and I wasn't going to make them the pick because even though Josh McDaniels presumably would take over, you got to have Belichick on the sideline for the Patriots to be the Patriots, right? You got to.
Yes. I mean, I think McDaniels, and they were on my list too, where he's like, he's as close as it's going to get into that organization as far as being able to approach it exactly like a Belichick. Definitely. I don't know. Also, the weird thing too is his son's there on the staff and everything like that. I just thought that dynamic was a little odd, but I think Josh McDaniels will certainly handle it. There's no doubt. He's just going to have to listen to Bill and Zoom meetings all week and take the lead from there.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.